Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. And today we've got a review that has been a long time in the coming. Remember when I unboxed this? Like months and months ago? Today we're taking a look at the SDOKEDC DC53 steel knife. That's the name of this thing, and that's a little bit of a red flag already, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and just start off with our blade length measurement. Our sharpened edge is coming in here just under 3.5 inches. Our overall blade length is just about 3.5 inches. Let's go ahead and bring out our size comparisons, if I can ever remember where I put them. Here is the Rat 1. So as you can see here, this is not a large fixed blade. This is definitely an EDC size fixed blade. I need to stop using that terminology, EDC size fixed blade, because everyone has different standards for what an EDC size fixed blade is. So anyways, this is what I would consider an EDC size fixed blade, and a small one at that. Let's go ahead and bring out, we'll just do the full gamut of size comparison knives. There's the Praxis, and there's the Elementum. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's go ahead and get our USA made comparisons. Spyderco PM2 and L Benchmade Bug Out. Sweet. And let's finish up size comparisons by comparing it against a couple of fixed blades. Here it is against the Sin-Cut Waxahachie, one of my favorite EDC fixed blades. Very similar overall length, although this knife is quite a bit slimmer. And then let's compare it against the standard of all fixed blades, the Cold Steel SRK. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What are we looking at for our materials? Get all these knives put away. So we have a Mosaic G10 handle, which I actually quite like. I think that's a good looking handle, to be honest. And we have a drop point DC53 steel blade. And we'll talk more about DC53 steel here in a little bit. Comes with a Kydex sheath. All right. Before we start this review off, it was brought to my attention by a viewer that this is actually a stolen design. I can't remember what viewer it was specifically. I will put up a screenshot, of our conversation on the screen so you can pause and read that if you would like. By the way, I really appreciate when you guys inform me of things like this. You know, I'm not omniscient. I don't know everything. So definitely always feel free to let me know things that you think I might not know, because I really appreciate it. I'd rather know than be ignorant of things. So he let me know that this was a design stolen from Matt Gentry. I looked it up, and yes, this is a copy of his Upland Hunter knife. Now, this is not a clone, right? They are not pretending to be Matt Gentry. It is a little bit of a borrowed design, though. And they have tweaked it a little bit. But while looking through SDOKEDC's website, I saw a couple of other knives that were reminiscent of knives that Matt Gentry has made, as well as some knives that are reminiscent of things I've seen from other makers. So I don't like that a whole lot. Again, I am reviewing this knife because it has been tweaked a little bit from Gentry's design, but I don't really like stolen designs. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why, because people ask all the time, and I have this conversation with people, and some people care about this more than others, but I know some people will buy like clones of knives to see if they like the design before they buy the real thing. Whatever. I'm not going to speak too much on that. For me personally, the reason I don't like to support stolen designs or clones especially is because it's just lazy. More than anything, it's just lazy. It shows unoriginality, and if you have a company that's too brain dead to come up with their own knife designs, can you really expect much from the quality of their product, etc., etc.? Now, again, cloning I really hate cloning. I really, really hate cloning. This is a little bit better, right? This is just a borrowed design. Some people might even call it inspiration. Some companies can do this successfully. Other companies not so successfully. But yeah, for me, it's just not something that I enjoy seeing. So we're going to set that aside, though, and talk about this knife. I'm a reviewer. I'm going to give you guys my 100% honest feelings on this as a product through all the testing and use that I've put it through. And then I'll give you my final thoughts at the end of the video. So for right now, let's go ahead and go to the cutting footage. Hey guys, are you ready to do some review cutting? This is normally the part of the video where I say, I sure am, but in this case, I'm not sure I am. This is a review cutting that I've put off for a while because it's a knife. Well, you'll see as we go through the review. The SDOKEDC, whatever the crap the name of this thing is. So, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's start off with the ergonomics. This thing is supremely comfortable in the hand. This thing is absolutely fantastic in the hand. The G10 scales here, which by the way, these ones are some pretty gorgeous fancy G10 scales, are very complex in a lot of ways. They are intricately shaped. They're just really, really good in the hand. You got this really deep finger well here that's chamfered all around. Feels great. The jimping here, we got a spot here, we got a spot here. You know, you can get into a position like this if you're like gutting a bird or a fish. The spine itself is crowned all the way through the tang. It's just a very comfortable knife in the hand. You have quite a long handle compared to the blade, and so you get a lot of control over that blade. So the ergonomics on this thing are fantastic. They are fantastic. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest with this review. That's what I do as a reviewer. Personally, like, I'm going to spoil this for you guys right now. I am not going to be able to recommend this knife because it is a stolen design, but I'm going to be completely honest with my review because you guys deserve that. I always try to be honest with you guys. So yeah, the ergonomics on this thing are fantastic. The scales are rounded and contoured. In fact, I wouldn't even call this contouring. They're just rounded all the way over. So it feels really, really good, but it doesn't feel like you're going to lose it because of that big finger well. You know, your edge alignment's really good. I always know where that edge is. I feel very locked in, very secure. So yeah, great ergos. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the carry. So I have it set up the way it comes out of the box. Now, we got a couple issues, okay? So, number one, if you're a bigger guy or gal and you've got better love handles than I do, this is probably going to be a non-starter from the get-go. This thing rides very high, and it's a little bit pokey, right? Now, for people that are about my size or slimmer, this could still be an issue. My bottom rib is right here. Ouch. Ouch. I didn't really have much problem with that. I actually kept him about here, like this. And so moving around my day-to-day, I didn't have too much issue, but I could see you having issue with that. Now, what can you do to fix that? Because this guy does ride very, very high. Well, you have 3 holes in this Kydex sheath, and we'll get to the sheath more here in a little bit, that you can work with. You could set this up as a neck knife, which I would not recommend. But the attachment it comes with, I'm not sure I really like, because if you turn it this way and try to carry this thing scout style with this, your holes here are not going to fit these studs here. So you're gonna have to get an aftermarket attachment for it. I would recommend getting like a Utila clip or Ulti clip, whatever they're called, so that you can carry the knife. I think this knife would ride in a pocket really, really nicely. It'd be a great pocket fixed blade. But yeah, so this here is probably the weakest part of the sheath. Now the sheath itself, I love. We got a push off here. The retention is very good. We got a little bit of rattle, but the retention is quite good. So there's that. We got a nice little pop. So yeah, it works out pretty nicely. All right, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. So we have a fully flat ground drop point blade of DC53 steel, which from what I've heard is basically a modified D2. It has performed pretty nicely for me. So let's go ahead and do our utility cuts. Very good utility cutter. You can get to that blade really easily. Like I said, the blade is kind of small compared to the rest of the handle, so you can manipulate this blade in all kinds of different ways, which I think is really, really nice. That full flat ground blade slices really, really nicely. Yeah, not a whole lot of problems there. It's a good all around little blade. Let's go ahead and do our rope pull. Felt great. 1, 2, 3. Ate that rope up. Again, you get a lot of power on that blade. It is a flat grind, so we got a little bit of strength behind the edge, so that definitely helped out. Let's go ahead and get our pool noodle. 1, 2, 3. All right. I'm pretty impressed. That last one, I went very thin. Felt consistent, slicing through the entire way. We didn't snag, we didn't bind. Yeah, that cut very, very nicely. This thing has a good little blade on it. All right, thank you a look or two. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. Alrighty, let's get into what I'm liking and not liking about this knife here. Number one, I do like the way this knife looks. This is a very attractive fixed blade to me. I do really enjoy, this kind of goofy handle. I like bright colors on my knives, but they've also got another version that has like carbon fiber. The carbon fiber looks really, really nice. I do like this kind of narrow drop point blade. It's just a very attractive knife to me, so props to Matt Gentry for that. Next thing, the ergonomics are phenomenal. This is so dang comfortable in the hand, so dang comfortable. This handle is just expertly shaped. You can see here that we are contoured very aggressively. This is a wide handle. The spine is crowned, or the tang is crowned all throughout the handle, which adds to the comfort. We have these, you can see like these chamfers here for these finger wells. The way it's shaped, we have the deep well here, and then a wide area that kind of hooks back a little bit. For me, my hand fits in here just perfectly. Perfectly. This is one of the most comfortable fixed blade knives I've ever held. The jimping here is also really neat. We've got 2-stage jimping back here for the thumb, which works out nice. It's got great traction, and you can put your finger out here for doing detail work. Also has amazing traction and is placed really, really well. This is jimping done right. Very few knives I review do jimping right. This one got it done. Speaking of the ergonomics and kind of going into the blade, the handle is quite a bit longer than the blade, and this gives you a lot of control over the edge and the tip. I feel like this is a very, very nimble knife. I can do all kinds of things with this. Grab it in a pinch grip. I can handle a bunch of different tasks. I really, really like the level of control that I can get over this blade. Speaking of the blade, we have that crown spine continuing down the blade, which is kind of cool. Full flat grind. This thing is very, very slicey. Great satin finish as well. I really enjoy seeing that. DC53 steel. This, as far as I can tell, is a modified version of D2 that increases the toughness. And also maybe the stainlessness, if I'm remembering correctly. Just looked up the stain, if it's more stainless than D2, and I don't think it is. I couldn't find anything definitive. I just did cursory search. But I do see that it does have pretty low chromium, so it's probably not super stainless. I didn't have much issue with it rusting or anything, but I live in the Chihuahuan desert. I don't have much issue with any of my blades rusting. The steel itself, I feel like held up pretty well. I have not sharpened it yet. It's probably getting to the point where it needs to be sharpened. I tried to strop it a couple times. Seemed a little bit difficult to strop, just from what I was experiencing. So I did hit it on a ceramic rod, and that seemed to work a little bit better. Yeah, we got a couple of rough spots on there, but it's held up really, really well, to be quite honest with you. The edge retention has been pretty great. I have used this quite a bit, so I'm impressed with the steel. Maybe I'll talk more about it after I've sharpened it and stuff. It does seem to be a very high hardness steel, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. This blade is very, very useful. You can get to that tip really easily. Again, it's not a tall blade, it's a short blade, but it does have this full flat grind. You get a little bit of strength behind the edge, but you also get just amazing slicing. And coupled with those ergos, oh my goodness, you can really get some power behind that blade. So I really, really enjoy that a whole lot. Let's go ahead and talk about the sheath. The sheath itself, I think, is fine. It's Kydex. I do like that we have this thumb ramp here. Makes pushing the knife out very easy. We got a good snap in there. Rattles a little bit, but it's not coming out unless you want it to. It could probably be a little bit tighter, but I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. I do also kind of like the tan Kydex sheath. And yeah, that's about it. This is a very user-friendly knife. Let's go ahead and talk about the things I don't like. First of all, I do wish the sheath came with a different attachment than this. So this is basically only good for the horizontal carry just because of the hole pattern on the sheath. So I thought about taking this and swapping this sideways to carry horizontally, because that's how I prefer to carry this knife. But you can see here the hole spacing in here is about 3/4 of an inch, right? From hole to hole, center of hole, center of hole. And out here, we're at 1.5 inches. So even if I switch this sideways, I won't be able to get 2 screws in here, won't be able to get it here. So you're probably gonna have to look for different sheath attachments if you wanna carry this any other way. You could net carry it. I would not. I think this is a little bit too big for net carry, and it's pretty heavy down here, so I don't know. You could put an ulti clip on here. I think that would be interesting, but I just haven't got around to that yet. So the carry attachment, I think, could be improved. We talked in the review cutting about how this does ride very high on your belt. So if that's going to be an issue for you, then you're going to have to be forced to buy a separate sheath attachment system. Next thing I don't like is I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of this brand. Just looking through their website on Amazon, it looks like it kind of looks like they're one of those Chinese brands that just sprung up out of nowhere to make knives and kind of flood the market with things. Now, this is the only knife I've handled from them, but again, it does seem like they are borrowing designs from other people. How do I say this? Again, I don't think that's the worst thing ever. For example, Ganzo, they borrowed the rat designs, but they add like a crossbar lock to make them different and stuff. Not a huge fan of that, but it's definitely not as bad as just, straight up cloning a knife. Still though, I especially don't like seeing companies like this steal from smaller makers like Matt Gentry. Cloning a Benchmade bug out or copying a Benchmade bug out, in my mind, is a little bit different than copying a custom maker's design. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that or not, but yeah, that's just how I feel about it. It gives me it puts a bad taste in my mouth, right? And this knife is not a one-to-one copy, but again, I can see that they have taken lots of inspiration from Matt Gentry's work with these knives. So I don't like seeing that. I really don't. And it's a shame because I really like this knife. So let's go ahead and get into my final conclusions. So you can get these knives for around 30 bucks. And I think that is an excellent, excellent deal. Now, in the review cutting, I know I said, spoiler alert, I'm not going to be able to recommend this knife because it's a copy. I'm going to slightly take that back, okay? I do not like that this knife is a copy, but it's not a clone. I think I've said this so many times in this video. And they are trying to do something different here. As far as a knife goes, I really, really like this. This is an excellent EDC fixed blade. This is a very, very cool knife. I love the ergos. I love the way the blade performs. I really, really enjoyed carrying this. That was soured quite a bit, knowing that this is not an original design to this company. I'm not sure if I'm going to be buying from this company again because of that. But as far as a knife goes, as just a tool, I can recommend this. This is a very well made, very affordable, just great bird and trout / EDC knife. I really, really do dig it. Again, though, I don't like that it is, you know, a copied design. So this is going to be really up to you. And honestly, everything I review is ultimately up to you whether you're going to buy it or not. But this one, yeah, it's up to your discretion. I can say that I enjoyed carrying this knife. Not a big fan of it being a copy. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. Big shout out to my channel members. I really appreciate everything they do for the channel. They are awesome, and if you want to join them, there's a button down below. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.